Soul Food and War. I am making an announcement, you guys. I am separating my business from my podcast. The podcast has changed now. It's going to be Heal Black Joy presents Soul Food and War. Let's talk about it for a second, and then we're going to get into the show. So, a few weeks ago, I was in this healing space on Clubhouse, and I was talking about healing. And my friend asked me, shout out to Tariq St. Kofa, Dr. Tariq St. Kofa. He asked me, Lola, what is your healing journey like? And I said, sometimes it feels like soul food and sometimes it feels like war. And that really resonated with him. It resonated with his Clubhouse room. And he was like, ooh, you a poet. Because he is a very well-known poet on Clubhouse. And he was like, you're a poet. I said, well, I'm a writer, And so for me, Soul Food and War explains the entire journey of healing, right? Healing is not linear. It is, sometimes it feels like soul food, sometimes it feels like war, and everything in between, right? So that is the name of the podcast going forward. I wanted to put that out there. So welcome to the Heal Black Joy podcast presents Soul Food and War. I am Lola Troy, the host and curator of Heal Black Joy, the learning platform for our community to heal our Black joy with tangible and attainable programs for the mind, body, soul, relationships, and businesses. And in today's conversation, you guys, we are going to be talking about be bold, be brave, be confident in your skin. My guest tonight, you guys, I'm super duper excited because she is fabulous. Her name is Addlia Edwards. She's a makeup artist and a hairstylist in Atlanta, Georgia. Also, the reigning Ashley Stewart 2019. We got a famous celebrity in the building, you guys. She refuses to look like what she has been through. Her love for sparkle seems to reflect through her personality and interactions with others, leaving an impact that can never be forgotten. She knows firsthand what it's like to stare adversity in the face, experiencing the trials of rape, church hurt, depression, anxiety, burnout, being suicidal, homelessness, and being a single parent. Some things that we all can identify with, some maybe one or even more than one of those things. She knows exactly how it feels to push through that pain. On a journey to rise from rock bottom and be a neighborhood girl gone global, her passion through fashion is to encourage and empower you so that you too can stare adversity in the face, push through your pain, and fulfill your purpose in life. She has a heart to speak life into you, influencing you through fashion and beauty, pushing you into finding and accepting your talents, identities, purpose, callings, and personal treasures that you hold within. She is determined to leave a little sparkle wherever she goes, motivating, pushing, and inspiring you to live, love, and sparkle too. You guys, give a big round of applause for Miss Addlia Edwards, better known as Dilly. How are you, my dear?
I am good, darling. How are you?
I am wonderful. This has been such a journey tonight, right? We were we were struggling to get online. We were having issues, but guess what? We are here. The people are here. They want to hear what you got to say because you got something to say, lady.
I do, don't I?
You do. Like what? I mean, first of all, you're just this roundaway girl, right? From Atlanta. Mm-hmm. You're fabulous. People from Atlanta, first of all, have always had a lot of style. I'm from North Carolina. So anytime that I used to visit Atlanta, what drew me to moving to Atlanta is that when I would be here, people just had their own way of thinking, their own way of talking, their own way of doing things. And most importantly, the creatives were always here. Like everybody was just so stylish and fly. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you've always, you've always shown that. I mean, you've always displayed that when I see you. First of all, let me just tell you how I met her. So you guys are always talking about my hair, right? How fabulous my hair is. So shout out to my hairstylist, Angela Ba at Texture Salon here in Atlanta, Georgia. She is my hairstylist. And I met Dilly by way of Angela. She actually is a hairstylist in Textures. And I would always come in. I'd be like, who is this fabulous woman that's always coming through? Her hair was always fab. She's always got this crazy big smile. Her glasses are always so fabulous. She's got sparkle on tonight, you guys. And I always is like, who is this fabulous hairstylist? Like, she's just freaking fab.
Oh, wow.
That's just who you are. Some people are fab and then some people are fabulous. Like, you are fabulous.
All right. Yes.
Right.
Right. It's just so weird hearing other people describe me. Because for me, I'm just being myself.
Right.
And so to hear other people describe me, it's eye-opening.
It's eye-opening. Well, I think that I know your fabulous comes from within. I know it comes from a place of confidence. I know it comes from a place of bravery. So we're going to get into this. We're going to get to the soul food, but we got to start with the war, like down in the trenches. You growing up, where was that fabulous? What was your inspiration for being fabulous? Like, because I know it didn't just start as an adult. It had to start when you were a child.
It definitely started when I was a child.
Okay. Did the sparkle start when you were a child?
The sparkle didn't start until I became an adult.
Okay.
But as a child, I was definitely a girly girl. In kindergarten, I wanted the press-on nails. I wanted my hair down. I wanted to wear a dress or skirt every day to school.
Okay.
I was always I loved music, so I danced from the time I came out the womb.
Okay. And that was the other thing that people don't know. We're gonna get into the whole dancing thing because I think that's a whole nother like little sparkle there that you have in your life. But so you were just this little girl, you were this girly girl, right? I think a lot of times when we're kids, we have this perception of what, you got the tomboy girl and then you got the girly girl. When I was growing up, I was kind of the girly girl as well. My sister was a tomboy. I was more so like the girly girl in the family. And I liked sparkly things. I was the pageant girl, the cheerleader, the one that was in pageants and doing all those things. However, there was also a part of me that did not want to do any part of it. Like I'm not a makeup girl. I am a very much so jeans, t-shirt, sneaker kind of girl. That's me. Like people that know me know that I get fabulous on special occasions, right? My go-to is pull my hair back in a ponytail. Even Angela, my hairdresser, she will do my hair. You guys know this. She will do my hair. It will be fabulous, right? And she will tell everybody in the shop, y'all take a picture of Lola today because tomorrow she's going to sleep on it. She's not going to roll her hair up. She's not going to pin curl her hair. It's going to be falling by tomorrow. That's just me. I don't know. I've never been, let me just primp and, that's not my style. But I envy those of you who can do that, right? And you just seem to be that person that does that. Right. So growing up in Atlanta, what were you doing growing up in Atlanta?
Oh my goodness. Well, I was kind of sheltered growing up in Atlanta.
Okay.
So, which is now me being older, it's like I've been hidden under a rock for a long, long time. And I'm finally coming out and realizing things like, what? Really? For real? But growing up, I'm the middle of three. I have an older sister and I have a younger sister.
Okay.
My younger sister is the tomboy.
Okay.
But she could be a girly girl when she wants to. My younger sister is the tomboy. I watched my older sister, she liked to dress. She liked to wear the trendy clothes. She liked to have the trendy hairstyle. So the asymmetric style in the front, but is long in the back.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Asymmetric bob, the salt and pepper bob, all that good stuff. I watched my sister do that. And then my mom, I got my love for makeup from my mom because I would always watch her doing her makeup. And I would sneak into her lipsticks and all that good stuff. And I would have my Barbies and cut their hair off and add it to my hair. I was doing extensions before I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
So, but I did like what normal kids did. I played outside. I had friends. I drove a big wheel. All my teachers loved me. Every report card said talks too much, but overall, great student.
Doesn't that, like, I always tell people, I did a reel one time, and I say, when you're trying to find your purpose is literally has been around you your whole life. Like, I was also the girl that got ends in conduct. You know, I told this story at my dad's birthday party a couple of weeks ago, and I used to get in trouble. Both of my parents are educators, retired educators. And, you know, I would get good grades. However, I was a person who could not keep my mouth closed. I got N's and sometimes I got U's in conduct. So y'all don't know about those U's. U's, I don't even know what U stood for. I just knew
Unsatisfactory.
Okay, it was bad. Okay. It was called equation. I'm going to get a beating and I'm going to be grounded. That's what that meant for me. U's meant I was in trouble.
Goodness, yes.
But I believe that your purpose, your passion, the things that you're passionate about, they've been around you your entire life. Like, my friends are like, you know, typically are introverts, you know, which is crazy because I feel like my girlfriend would tell me, one of my best friends would tell me, she's like, Lola, you're not an introvert. I feel like I'm an extroverted introvert. Like, I like being around people, but I have a cutoff time for that. Like, I can take people for a while, but then I have to be kind of to myself.
I'm the same
way.
But
she swears up and down that I don't meet a stranger, that like I've been that way my entire life. So I think some of the bold personality, some of the bravery in people, that typically has been with them their entire life. So have you noticed that has been around you your entire life?
People that have known me for years will tell you that I am the same person today that I was growing up as a little girl.
Yeah.
I remember I ran across some letters from my third grade class when I moved away.
Mm-hmm.
And all of my friends then said the exact same thing in the letters then that my friends say now.
Wow.
So I would pretty much say I have been pretty consistent with being Addlia.
That's amazing. Let's get into, I know you in your bio, you talked about experiencing the trials of rape, experiencing church hurt, depression, anxiety, burnout, being suicidal, homelessness, and being a single parent. Did we have the same life?
Maybe, girl.
I'm looking at your thing, and I promise you, I've experienced every single one of those things.
Wow.
We've got to talk about that offline, but I want to get into your life. What happened, your bravery, because I think that bravery does not show up in beautiful spaces. I believe that bravery shows up in the war, right? The trenches. So not going into detail about, you know, those things, but in those moments, what developed inside of you? What bravery developed inside of you? Like, if you could go back to one of those moments, whether it was burnout, anxiety, those moments, what pulled you out to say, hey, you know what? Even though I'm going through this right now, I need to pull myself out, because there are people that are going to be watching. There are people that are going to be listening, that they're in those moments right in this very moment, right? And a lot of times they don't understand in that moment, because I remember when I was in those moments, I did not know that I would get out of that moment. There were times where I would think, okay, I'm tired, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm lonely, I don't have my support system around me. Some of the things that happened in my life happened when I was here in Georgia. And I didn't have family here. I only had a couple of friends that were here. And in those moments, you don't think that you're going to get out of them, right? What pulled you out of those moments? What was that brave space? Or what was that thing that pulled you up to say, hey, you know what, Addlia, you got to push forward? What was that pulled you forward?
So for the things that I went through when I was younger, what pulled me forward was I didn't know no other way to go but forward. I didn't know no other way to go but out. It never crossed my mind to go back. It never crossed my mind to give up. I just didn't know any other way to go. All I knew was to push through and to push forward. That's all I knew.
Where did you learn that? Where did you develop pushing through?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. I tell people majority of my life, from the time my mom and dad divorced when I was 10. And my mom became a single mom when I was 10 years old. And all I remember is struggle. That's all I remember my life to be, is struggle. Even to today, that's all I know my life to be, is struggle. So I don't know where I get that mentality from. No one never was like, sat down and talked with me and was like, be strong, keep going, keep moving forward. I didn't have that type of mentor. I didn't have that type of teaching. I didn't have that type of leading. All these situations I'm going through, no one warned me about them. Even as being a woman or a young lady or a girl, nobody groomed me. Nobody told me, this is how you clean yourself. This is what you do. This is what happens when you come on your cycle. This is what I didn't have any of that. So a lot of stuff I figured out on my own. And I think that's why what I do now, like when things happen, I just try and figure it out. I'm going to figure it out, how to make it work, how to make it happen. So that's what happened when I was younger. Now, as an adult,
okay,
what pulled me out is my son.
Oh yeah. Don't children do that for you?
I got a whole dependent on me. And
right.
So there's no way I can show him how to give up. I got to show him how to be strong and keep going and pick up the pieces and keep moving forward and make something out of a mess.
I'm telling you, I so identify with that, because I was on a Clubhouse a week ago and they were asking me, you went through all of these things, Lola, what pulled you out? And I had to be really, really honest and transparent. The things that I was going through in my adulthood the thing that pulled me out of it, it was not me. I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it because I had a daughter. I had little eyes looking at me that depended on me. That was the catalyst. Lauren was my catalyst, and what people know me, I affectionately call her Lala. She was my catalyst to pull me out of the things, out of my sadness, out of my depression. One, because she didn't deserve it. She needed me to be strong. She needed me to be present. She needed me to be, happy. She needed to see an example. And a lot of times, especially as an adult, when we're going through things, people don't realize that most times what pulls us out is not ourselves. Like sometimes we don't even have the willpower or the strength, bandwidth, emotional capacity to pull ourselves out, right? We have to have some type of catalyst to pull ourselves out. Sometimes it's God, sometimes it's our children, sometimes it's, believing that, tomorrow's going to be better, but it has to be something to pull you up. And I totally identify with that. Absolutely. That's crazy that we share the same kind of story. Church hurt. I would love to get into this church hurt thing. Because I think, as you've seen on social media, there's been a lot of polarization of church hurt. There's a lot of things that have gone viral where preachers have said some of the wildest things on social media, right? And because they've said it, it goes online, it goes viral, and then everybody's looking like, are these people in this church? They're sitting there listening to this man and this woman spew this craziness to them, and they're just sitting there taking it, right? What was your experience like when you say church hurt? I understand it from a different vantage point because I was a worship leader, and some of my church hurt was from some of the people that I worshiped with. It wasn't necessarily the ministers per se. I did have some issues with some of the ministers, but when I think about my church hurt, it was because I put some trust in some people that I went to church with. Right. And then they let me down because they put me in a very compromising situation. And we can get into that at a later date. I'm going to tell that story. It's actually in a book because it's wild. So I want to hear your story about church hurt, because I think people experience church hurt, but because they're in church and they've been conditioned to being in that space where they don't realize that they're being gaslit, and they don't realize that they're actually being hurt. They think that that's normal and that they're supposed to accept it. So tell me your story.
So my experience, to put it in a nutshell, you've met me. When I meet people, like, I care with all of my heart. All of my heart, all of my soul. I'm going to give you 150% of me.
Right.
And unfortunately, I was not receiving that back in return. But I was doing a lot of work. I was very loyal. I was doing a lot of work. I was very active. But there was still a lot in the background going on. But the main thing that really got to me was I was homeless at the time. I was homeless, and I was made a mockery of being homeless. And that really hurt me. At one of my lowest points, the people I worship with, the people I praise with, the people I pray with, the people that I trust and depends on to lift me up spiritually are making a mockery of a situation that is already hurting me. I'm already feeling low. I'm already, I've already self-condemned myself. I've already beat myself up. I'm already trying to keep my sanity, and I'm being talked about, and not even talked about just within the walls of the church, but outside the church in a whole nother state. And speak out about it when I stand up for myself, and when I say I don't want to be a part of this, then I'm told because at the time I was homeless. I didn't have a job for the first time ever in my work life. I didn't have a job. I did not finish college because I got pregnant with my son. I didn't have a home of my own. I didn't have money in my bank account. I was told I was fruitless because I didn't have those things. My leader told me I was fruitless. And then in the same breath, asked me, am I going to stay or go? Do you really need me to answer that question? I think it's best I go. But I don't make excuses for people, but
Right.
as a maturing adult, a person that has matured from that situation, I do understand that, people's maturity levels are different.
Very
And
much so.
do I believe they would have handled this situation differently now than back then? Absolutely. But it happened back then.
Yeah.
And that's what that really I didn't go to church for 4 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would visit churches, I would literally get anxiety sitting in church. And then I'd look at people like, why are you nice to me? Why are you smiling at me? Why are you hugging it? Why are you coming up to me? I was literally like that for 4 years. Even my pastors that are my pastors now, yay, they're my pastors. It took me a long time to accept them.
Yeah.
For a long time, I would visit their church and I would tell people it's a great church, but it's not my home. Those are not my pastors.
Right. And I think a lot of people don't realize, I think people in church sometimes don't realize when people are coming in, they're coming in hurting, right? And and I'm not saying that all churches are like this. Please don't get me wrong when I say this, because there's some beautiful people that have churches, and then there's some people that just are missing the mark right now in this season when it comes to being sensitive to what people are going through. And in those instances, like that instance, I can tell you, I'll give you an example. Now, this is not going to be a part of my book because my other situation, my other church was a little crazier. But this particular situation, I was married. We were in the craziest of going through the trenches of our marriage. Like we were at the point where we were like getting ready to split up. And our friends at the time were like, oh, we just took a marriage class and we were all going to the same church. But my ex-husband was a musician and he was a traveling musician, but we were, tithe paying members of this church, right? New members, tithe paying members. And I remember going to this large congregation. I will not speak of what church it was in Atlanta, but I remember going and we were at the brink of just splitting up and we wanted counseling. And so they ask you these questions when you go up there. They're like, hey, are you members of the church? Yes, we're members. Check. Are you tithe paying members of the church? Yes, we are tithe paying members. Check. But we had been there. We had been going maybe like a year, and then we decided to join. So let's say we had joined maybe 3 or 4 months prior to, but mind you, we had been paying our tithes that whole year. But because my ex-husband was on the road, we had not finished our new members class because as couples, they wanted you to be in new members class together. Well, we hadn't done it because he was on the road traveling and playing for an artist. And they were like, whoa, have you finished your new members class? No, we have not. They told us that we could not be counseled because we had not finished our new members class. And we were like, I'm talking about, we were at the end. Like we needed counseling. Okay. And it was just, we had nowhere at that point. We had nowhere to turn.
Wow.
We had nowhere to turn. And we were like, are you freaking kidding me? Now, mind you, we stayed together probably another 6 months, but we ended up divorcing. But that was a part of, I would say, a catalyst to feeling like we had hit a brick wall and we didn't have the support of the people that we were worshiping with. Mm-hmm. And it was eye-opening. Wow. It was hurtful. It was eye-opening. It was crazy, as John Tay would say. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I know what church hurt feels like. I know that a lot of people have opted out, like with all these viral moments going on, right? I read all the comments, and the majority of the comments that I'm seeing is, and that's why I don't go to church.
I don't go to church.
That's why I don't show up. That's why I don't feel like doing this anymore, because people are just judgmental and people are coming from this lens of I'm better than, they're looking down at their nose. Their spiritual walk is more precious than my spiritual walk. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of leaders are not being sensitive enough to people that are coming in to their church with open arms.
Right.
And I totally believe that God is like, what are you doing with our people? Like, what are you guys doing? Right? If God is love, then we should be his representatives in every space that we're in. Right. And I think every space and everyone. And and I want to segue, because you talk about that sparkle. I believe that sparkle in you is your God-given gift that allows you to see people for who they are, as they are, where they are, because of the things that you've gone through, right? Mm-hmm. You've experienced so many things. And I think what your gift is that you see people you see people as you see yourself. And you're able to give the sparkle through the pain, but you're also able to give the sparkle because you can identify and you can connect with people that have gone through the same thing that you've gone through.
Exactly. That's why I tell people I've had the privilege of hitting rock bottom. Woo! Everybody doesn't have the privilege to hit rock bottom.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Pause. I have never in my life heard somebody put privilege and rock bottom in the same sentence. You got to unpack that for me.
So I say that I'm privileged that I've hit rock bottom because, for one, I can identify with every person that hits rock bottom. I know that God has called me to touch the lives of other people. It's going to be hard for me to touch people if I don't understand what they're going through. People will say all day, I understand. But you really don't, because you've never been through it. You really don't know how you'll respond. You don't know how you'll react. You don't know what you would do until you have gone through it yourself. So I honestly thank God and praise God for the rape, for the emotional neglect, for being homeless, for having my son out of wedlock, for having to drop out of college, for, not having a car, riding public transportation for years, for having doors slammed in my face, for having people turn their back on me, for having people lie on me, for having people try to slander my character. I thank God for it all. I feel like that all of those combined, plus other things, has made me who I am. It's made me, that's why I'm compassionate to people. That's why I'm able to see people where they are. That's why I'm able to still love people where they are. That's why if somebody does something to me, I'm trying to figure out the root of why they did it, not the fact that they did it to me. I'm so easily.
Wait a minute. That's good. That's good. What you just said right there. That's good. Because most people, when somebody does something to you, most people's first action is, I'm going to react to them, or I'm going to respond to them in a real negative way. And you just said that you're not trying to react or respond. You're trying to figure out the root of why they did what they did to you. That is not a typical response, my dear. That is not a typical response, because most people, they're so quick to jump to react that they're not even thinking about the root of what the other person is going through.
Mm-hmm.
That is called a healed response.
It is.
That is called a healed response.
Yes.
You saying that you've had the privilege of hitting rock bottom, and you thank God for all of those adverse moments. My friend is my brother Donald Morton says you have to have that adversity quotient. People talk about that emotional quotient. People talk about all these other quotients, but they don't talk about the adversity quotient. Like, how do you reach that bravery in that war moment, right? That adversity quotient is, I'm able to pull myself up by my bootstraps and I'm able to keep going. Not only that, but if somebody does something to me, I'm thinking about them in a space that they might be going through their war moment. Mm-hmm. They might be going through their adversity right now. And instead of me reacting to them, I'm going to give them some compassion. That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. And it's so not typical of what's going on in today's society. I want us to get to you being the reigning Ashley Stewart 2019, because let me tell you something. I know you saw in the media where the comedian, I don't even want to give him any credit, but he said something about Lizzo, right? People, are coming for Lizzo because Lizzo is this big, bold, beautiful, voluptuous woman. And Ashley Stewart is body positive. It, carries clothes for plus size women. And you were Miss Ashley Stewart 2019. We're not talking about for Atlanta, Georgia, you guys. We're talking about for the country. Okay. Walk me through the journey of you becoming Ashley Stewart 2019.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I had no intentions, no plans of entering the contest at all.
What made you do it? What was that confident moment that made you do it?
I prayed about it, actually.
Really?
Yeah. God told me to do it.
Okay. Come on, God.
That's actually what happened. Well, it started off with a conversation with a friend of mine that was actually in the contest the year before.
Okay.
And I was just jokingly talking about it. And I said, maybe I'm going to enter the contest. And she was like, you should. And I was like, girl, no way. There's no way they'll choose me out of all these thousands of beautiful women. There's no way. Sorry. I was like, there's no way they're going to choose me out of all those thousands of women. And she said something to me. She said, what do you have to lose? And I was like, you know what? You're right. I have nothing to lose. So I said, I'll think about it. So I thought about it and I prayed about it. And God told me to do it. He said, you do it, I will take you all the way.
Wow.
I said, okay. And so I didn't even tell anybody I was doing it. I didn't tell anybody I was auditioning until the week of. Everybody's like, why you just now telling us? I didn't tell anybody till the week of. I actually was just going to keep it to myself and just go to the audition and then, see what happens. But I didn't tell anybody till the week of. Atlanta was their last their last tour stop. So they had it at Stonecrest Mall. It was 131 of us women, 131, and they were only choosing 3 out of 131.
Wow.
And so when I went, I told God I wanted the number 8. I ended up with the number 8.
Is that special to you? What is 8 for you?
I love the number 8. 8,
okay,
of course, represents the infinity sign. 8 also means new beginnings. And 8 also divided equals my other favorite number, which is 222. So 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. Yep.
22 is my birthday. 22 is also my daughter's birthday, and it's our favorite number. Yeah.
Yes. So I got the number 8. It was crazy because when I got in line, I was nowhere near the front of the line. But then they came out and they said they ended up forming a new line. And I got in that line and I started counting. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to have the number 8. And I got the number 8.
Wow.
So I received the number 8. It was 131 of us. It was hot, but we had so much fun. And my number was the first number they called when they called the top 3. So I couldn't believe it. So that was here in Atlanta. So that made it a total, after the tour stop, it made it a total of 27. After they did the virtual casting, it made it a total of 27 semifinalists. And so after that, we had to go through a phase of voting. We had to get all your friends, get all your family to go onto the website and vote for a week. So for a week, everybody was voting. It was so crazy. I had never experienced so much support in my life. I thought I was going to be getting on everybody's nerves, telling them to go vote. But everybody, my friends coming up to me, it's time to vote. It's time to work at the salon. Every hour, all my coworkers stopping. It's time to vote, y'all. It's time to vote. They're getting their clients to vote and everything. It was crazy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And so after the voting phase, I ended up becoming one of the top 8. In the top 8, they flew out to New York. We stayed in Brooklyn. They put us up in a nice hotel in Brooklyn. And then we had a finale over at King's Theater in Brooklyn. And the finale had 3,000 seats. All 3,000 seats sold out. They had a concert with Faith Evans, Salt and Pepper. DJ Kid Capri was the guest DJ. And it was also like a pageant like. So we had 2 outfit changes. And we had to do a question round and answer questions. And Lonnie Love was the host, of course. And at the end, they ended up calling my name as the winner.
And what was going through your mind in this moment? Like, to experience all of the things that you've experienced. The reason why I'm asking you this question, because I know there is somebody on this live, whether it's going to be Facebook, whether it's going to be on the podcast, whether it's on Instagram, there's somebody that does not have the bravery. They're not confident right now. They're not bold right now. They're not in that space. They're in their war moment, right? And they don't realize that, one, you can come out of that war moment and you can get to that joy. You can get to the yumminess of soul food. But what was going through your mind?
I was like,
they called your name.
Well, for one, when I entered the contest, I was at one lowest point mentally in my life. I had convinced myself that maybe God just anointed me to struggle, because somebody told me I make struggle look beautiful.
Woo! Wait a minute. Wait a doggone minute. Let's unpack that for a second, because my dad has always been an avid reader. And I will never, ever forget this book he read when I was a child. He has this book called Hung by the Tongue, right? And the premise of the book is whatever you speak, you could literally be hung by your tongue. Meaning, whatever you put out into the universe, whatever you put out into the world, and it's not just what you say to yourself, it is what other people also speak over your life. That's why it's imperative about who you are aligned with, because people will say things to you out of jealousy, out of envy, out of ignorance, out of anger, out of cliche. Because a lot of times we say things because we think it's cool to say, you know what I mean? And they don't even realize that what they're saying is literally casting a spell over what's going on in your life, right? So for someone to say to you that you make struggle look good is crazy. And then because you were going through your war moment, you get in alignment. You marry that thought. Because I'm getting ready to give y'all some neuroscience. Words and thoughts are the language of the brain.
Yeah.
Emotions and feelings are language of the body. So if you're feeling a certain way, you don't feel like you're brave, you don't feel like you're bold, and then somebody says something to you, or you thought about it yourself, like, I make struggle look good. You could be in that low moment and you will identify with that and you will stay in that moment. So for you to pull yourself out crazy enough because God told you to sign up for this contest, and then you beat out everybody in Atlanta and everybody in the country, and they call your name. What goes through your mind in that moment?
In that moment, it was, God, you really did it. You really did it. He said he was going to do something for me, and he really did it. He told me he was going to take me all the way, and he really did it. And I finally got, after a whole ton of no's, I finally got a yes.
Talk to that girl that's in that valley moment right now that's getting all no's. She could be homeless. She could be suicidal. She could be burnt out. She could have anxiety. She could be a single mom. She could be tired. She could be emotionally disconnected. She could be having people telling her that she makes struggle look good. What do you say to that person?
I would say what I said the night I won Ashley Stewart 2019. Keep going. Keep going. Don't look back. I know it looks hard. You could either do one of two things. For one, you can't just stay still. You can't stay still. You got to move, whether it's forward or backwards. And it makes no sense to go backwards because you've come this far now. And if God kept you and brought you this far, he's going to continue to carry you and take you even further. And I would have to tell my best friend all the time, because she used to ask me all the time, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of going through? Y'all, we didn't ask to go through this stuff. We didn't ask to go through it. I didn't ask to be homeless. I didn't ask to be raped. I didn't ask for all of that. But I do know, to whom much is given, much is required. And that's what I used to tell her. That's what keeps giving me my drive today. I know I have to go through this, just like Jesus suffered for us. I have to go through a suffering because I know the cost of the calling on my life. The calling on my life, my anointing, my oil, it costs. Can't nobody take it away from me. It costs. So I understand. They say to suffer is to suffer with Christ. And so I understand that that's what I'm going through. And so I can see in the future. I can see where I'll be in the future. I know that there is something greater ahead for me. And so I also know that there are other people that I'm assigned to. If I die right now, if I take my life right now, I have messed up the destiny of other people that are supposed to come into contact with me. The
Absolutely.
other people of whose lives I'm supposed to touch. The other people who my life as a blueprint is supposed to help navigate another life.
I totally believe that, in the sense that when we go through things, it's never about us anyway. It's always about you being able to share that with somebody else, because there's somebody that has experienced rape. There's somebody that has experienced church hurt. There's somebody that's experienced depression, anxiety, burnout, being suicidal, and homelessness, and being a single parent right now, that is looking at both of us like, we got on makeup. Now, my makeup is not as fabulous as yours, because I am not a makeup artist. I tried to do it, and it is what it is. However, thank you. But they're looking at us like we have smiles on our faces. We're doing the work, right? We've done the work, and we are living our lives. And you guys they're looking at us like this mirror, like, how do I get there? How do I get to this place? Because I don't want people to think that this journey, like I said, I was very intentional when I named the podcast Heal Black Joy Podcast Presents Soul Food and War. Because when he asked me, Lola, what is your healing journey like? Honey, it feels like soul food sometimes, and sometimes it feels like war. And that is as honest and transparent as I can possibly be, as vulnerable as I can possibly be, because it's not linear. You're going to have those valley moments. You're going to have those wonderful celebratory moments. But how do you know what lightness is when you have never experienced darkness? How could you really revel in that moment when they called your name, when you have never gone through anything, right? The bravery comes in those valley moments. The bravery, the confidence, the fortitude, the capacity to go on comes in those moments of adversity.
Mm-hmm.
It does, right? It makes you a much more well-rounded person. It makes you a more compassionate person. It makes us more connected. Because I think our journey on this earth, in this time, space, reality is, everybody wants to be seen, heard, and understood. And everybody wants connection, whatever that connection is, right? Some of it might be negative. Hopefully, we're trying to experience connection on a very spiritual level, on a very loving level. And I think that because of those valley moments, we can appreciate the connection with others, because we know what that looks like in those valley moments. Absolutely. There is somebody on this live that is going through that valley moment right now. What do you say to that person? You say, keep going. What are your affirmations in the morning? Like, when you get up, when you want to give your sparkle every day, what gets you going in the morning? Because I want to talk to that girl that's in that valley moment right now. I've had so many people call me or DM me, and they're like, Lola, they're looking for me to give them something, right? And a lot of I will tell you, last week, Addlia, I had a friend. I know she's not going to mind me saying this, and I'm not going to say her name, but she was going through a really, 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 really low moment. And I called her because I'm her friend. I love her, right? And I was speaking into her life, and she just was not hearing me. She was not hearing me. And I said, you know what? If I was going through this, what you're going through right now, even though I might not want to hear it, I respect the fact, and I love you enough that I'm going to sit and listen to you. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to show up, and I'm going to be your friend, and I'm going to say it. I don't care if you don't like it right now. You got to hear me. But when I got off the phone with her, I went and laid in the bed, because I was so triggered in that moment. Mm-hmm. And it took me back to a space of darkness. It took me back to a space of sadness. And for 2 days, I promise you, for 2 days, I laid in the bed. Wow. I laid in the bed. I was crying. I couldn't figure out. I was like, I didn't have the motivation to get up, right? And Friday, I got up. Wednesday and Thursday, I was in the bed. Like, I would go get online, do my job. And then at like 1:00, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to bed. I can't do it. And I would sleep from like 1 to 5, Wednesday and Thursday. I literally would go to bed because it was like, it was too much to be awake and have to think.
Yep.
And I know what that looks like. And so I went to bed because I was like, I got to shut my brain off. And Friday, I had to motivate myself to get out of the bed because what you said, there was somebody that's tied to me, that's tied to my story, that is sending me a DM, that's going to hear this live and hear me talking to you about your adversity quotient, your war stories. And then they're going to see your celebratory moment where you beat out everybody in the country to be Miss Ashley Stewart 2019. In your lowest moment, mind you.
Lowest moment.
In your lowest moment. I had to get up because I knew somebody was going to be like, okay, Lola, what am I supposed to do in my moment if you down? Our story is connected to other people.
Yep.
It's connected to other people. So getting back to, I know I was rambling, but I just felt like I needed to say that because I'm just feeling like somebody needs to hear it. What do you say to yourself in the morning?
For one, get up.
Get up, right?
Get up. Get up. Praise God. You know, and thank the Holy Spirit that you are up, that you woke up. And then the other thing would be, it's okay to feel how you're feeling. It's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay if you feel ugly right now. It's okay if you feel grieved right now. It's okay that you have those feelings. Now, what's not okay is if you stay in those feelings. Have your feelings, feel them, and then get up from them. And when you get up from them, know that you're bold, you're brave, you are beautiful, you are that girl.
You are that girl.
One of my favorite Beyonce songs. You are that girl. And no one can be you. That's your superpower. No one can be you. So the world needs you. The world needs you because there is not another you. The world needs you and the world needs your gift. You are a gift to this world. You are a gift to this world. And if nobody can see, and if a person can't see that, then they don't have the capacity to see it. And if they don't have the capacity to see it, they're not your person. Be you unapologetically. I am me. I love me. I will never be ashamed of being me.
That's awesome. They cut us off on Instagram, you guys, but that's okay. We're going to wrap this up. To those beautiful, bold women, right? Our BBWs, because I think a lot of times they feel, I think now there's been this revolution of BBWs, like Lizzo, there's a lot of, real big, bold girls who are out here that are doing it, right? They are just killing the game. And they didn't have anybody growing up. There was not a lot of women. They never put plus size women or thought about plus size women when it came to clothes, when it came to fashion. There was nobody that you saw. And if they were plus size, they were always in the capacity of being an actress, and it was always in a subservient type role, right? It was never, where they're always the friend. They're not the person that gets the romance, right?
They're not the
leading lady. And they're still, my girlfriend, we talk about this all the time. They still are kind of lacking when it comes to thinking that women should have, no matter what size they are, they still should have love. You know what I'm saying? They still
Right.
should have romance. They still can be sexy. They still can have clothes that show who they are and their boldness and their beautifulness, right?
Right.
So what do you say to those girls? Because I mean, Ashley Stewart is such a bold line of clothing for women. It came out years ago and it gave women not only the ability to wear something that was super duper fly, that was not just an old frumpy looking dress, and you know, it's all these different lines now that are out that speak to plus size women, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to those girls that are looking to zhuzh up and try to make themselves fabulous? They need a little sparkle in their life. What do you say to those girls? Because there's this one particular girl, I cannot think of her name. Why is her name not coming to me right now? She's from my hometown, Mika.
Mm-hmm.
Mika. If you guys know her, she's this big, bold, plus size girl. She is gorgeous, by the way. She's gorgeous. And she is fabulous. Like, she makes being bold, being brave, being confident in your skin fabulous. And I don't know exactly what her journey is. I want to have a conversation with her one day. I don't know what her journey was, but she makes it look so good right now. And I know there are people that are looking at her because I'm from a really small town. And I know people are looking at her like, yo, she's fabulous, right? What do you say to those women and those girls that are growing up? Because there's girls in middle school, there are girls in high school, there are girls in college that are still kind of like, they don't really have the confidence because they don't know what to wear. They don't know what to put on. They don't really, they're not bold yet. They haven't come into their womanhood yet, right? And I believe some of that bravery comes in those stories, but it also pushes you forward when you go through some things in your womanhood,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do you say to those girls?
I say make your own standards. Some of these things that are going on, I'm like, as far as height and weight for models, who came up with that? Who made that up? Who decided this is what beauty was? Who decided this is what makes a supermodel? Who decided that? And who
Mm-hmm.
made that?
Yeah.
Like, a one person that's probably not even alive anymore made that standard. Out of what? Out of for what they like? Who said that that's the standard?
The standard of beauty was definitely a very petite white woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They
That's
did
what it
not
was.
look like us. They didn't have any curves. They didn't have any color. It was a standard of beauty that has been the standard of beauty from the time fashion was a thing until recently.
Exactly.
And I'm so glad that there are people like Rihanna that's pushing the envelope, with Fenty, and people that are pushing the envelope with how they see not only women in fashion and in makeup in that industry, but they also, seeing the guys.
Yep.
One of my favorite persons, I cannot think of his handle, but he's on Instagram, but he's a plus size guy, and he puts on his clothes and shows people what they should wear to certain events. And he's gone viral and he's amazing. Like, the stuff that he puts on is amazing. It's amazing. He looks really, really good in his clothes. And I think it's about being confident, being bold, being brave. But we just got to we gotta let go of that standard of beauty, because we are all beautiful.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We all are beautiful.
Exactly. And don't worry about what other people think. Who cares what other people think?
Do you?
I will wear a tutu to church
Yes, you will.
in my sparkly shoes and my big hair. I don't care. That's
Yeah.
I am. This is who I am. Either you're going to accept me or you're not.
And it's okay.
If you don't.
Right. It's okay. It's okay. Absolutely. I think this is a good place to wrap it up in a bow, you guys. Has this not been awesome? This has been so awesome having this conversation with you, because I think you are so you are that girl that, like you said, you're the neighborhood girl, right? You are so relatable. It's such a connected story to what so many of us go through and what many of us experience in our lives. And just to see like your bravery, your confidence, your boldness in it all. I know we said that it was about being bold, being brave in your skin and being confident in your skin, which is something that you do, but it's more about celebrating you in you having those valley moments, but understanding that it makes those celebratory moments so much more worth it.
Yes, it does.
You know what I mean? And the crazy thing about it, you guys, is she's still just that girl from the neighborhood. She is not walking around like, oh, see me, I miss, Ashley Stewart, right? She's still that roundaway girl, still down to earth, still very humble. Just good girl. I love it. I love you. Thank you so much for coming on and just sharing with us and sharing your story with us and letting us identify, what it means to be bold, be brave, be confident in our skin.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, girlie. I really appreciate it. To my Heal Black Joy family, to my Heal Black Joy tribe, thank you guys for joining us on tonight, even though we had some technical difficulties. I'm so glad that you stuck with us, stuck by us. Hopefully this is resonating with you. I know that a lot of people have put in messages and sending messages here on Facebook as well as Instagram, and it'll go to YouTube on Saturday. So thank you guys for tuning in on tonight. And you guys,
my birthday.
Saturday. Happy birthday, lady. Happy birthday to you. What are your plans?
I have no plans. I'm going to go to the eye doctor. And I'm going to try to go to the spa. That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, you get some rest on your birthday. I think it's important for us to celebrate those moments, but also, in those moments where we have so many things on our plate to do, get you some rest. It's important and it's essential. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in to Heal Black Joy Podcast presents Soul Food and War. And we look for you again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Bye. Good night.